Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Bremner Square Podcast. This could be the most makeshift podcast anybody in. I could freeze at some point, and Max has just frozen. He's left. He was on a Premier Inn Wi-Fi. Other hotel services are available, and unfortunately, I think it's just bailed out on him at the wrong time. My name is Johnny, and joining me, if you can hear me, is Kieran. How are you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm not bad at all. It's a bit of a shame to lose Max. It'd have been nice to have the full team for 2 weeks in a row. We haven't really had that this season, but there you go.
No, we haven't at all. And again, mine's just cut out there when you were speaking, but I heard the majority of that bit. On today's episode, we're going to be running through what's been happening in the international break. We're going to be talking about the Leeds United news and previewing our upcoming game against Southampton because there hasn't been too much football on the cards at the moment. Kieran, obviously there has been international football, but have we really been watching any of the football in too much detail this week?
But I saw a really interesting non-league match on Saturday. I've been doing some work with Leeds FC, a local non-league team, and that was a great match. So to be fair, I haven't really felt the international break blues because that got my football fix. I haven't actually watched England, and I usually do actually watch England, but I didn't watch England the other day.
Does that have anything to do with the fact that Calvin Phillips and Patrick Bamford both aren't playing?
Yeah, I think possibly. I think I'd have definitely been watching England if Calvin was playing. I'd watch any match Calvin's playing, to be honest. If he was playing for, I don't know, it's just a random Sunday League team once his professional career's over, and I'd go and watch him play.
Exactly, unless he's playing for Manchester United, which people have rumoured him to be going to, but I can't see that happening. You can clip this when in 5 years' time he might be there, but I do not see that happening at all. But I know exactly what you mean. When he was taken out of the England squad, when Bamford obviously wasn't called up, and I was pretty certain I wouldn't really be watching too many of the games. Isn't it weird, though, that we were all so hyped up for the Euros? We're all really getting into the Euro fever in the summer when obviously we were knocked out on penalties in the final. But now, no one really just.
But
Did I cut?
Yeah. You cut out for me for a second, but I did hear most of your question. So, it was about getting behind England for the Euros, but then not for the qualifiers, wasn't it? Which I do get what you mean. Yeah. It is kind of a little bit hypocritical to be going, I don't care about the national team and everything like that. And then as soon as a major international tournament comes around and we do really well on it, then all of a sudden we're free lions thrown through. But I don't know, it's just the way it is. You are going to feel a bit less connected to your national team than you are your club for most of your lifetime. But when those international tournaments do roll around, it's so fun to have just a whole country united behind one thing, and it'd be stupid to not get involved in it. So, I can see why some people might think it's hypocritical, but I don't mind it at all.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm really not bothered about watching these qualifiers and friendlies and all this stuff. I say England, Andorra 5-0 on Saturday night, I'm pretty sure it was. I think it was Andorra that we beat as well. Jack Grealish got his first goal for England. I think Chilwell got his first goal as well, so congratulations to them. But one man who we do care about, who has been tearing it up on the international stage, is that man, Rafinha, for Brazil, making his Brazilian debut. And he's torn it apart a bit, hasn't he, Kieran?
Yeah, I think it was 2 assists on his debut and also heavily involved in the build-up for when Brazil won a penalty. And then I heard that he put in a really good performance against Colombia off the bench as well, and that match ultimately finished 0-0, but apparently Rafinha came on, changed the game a bit, and Brazil fans kind of rued the fact that he didn't start the game and they didn't have his impact for the full 90. So, yeah, it's on one hand, it's just so brilliant to see Rafinha tearing it up. I'm so happy for him to finally get those appearances for Brazil. We know how much that means to him. And for him to hit the ground running is just fantastic to see. On the other hand, it is even more eyes on him, even more sort of positive reputation earned with good performances on the international stage now. So it is it's more sort of scouts and managers of other clubs maybe looking at him and thinking, you know what, I fancy a bit of Rafinha. So that's the negative aspect of it, I suppose.
It's always the case. It feels like that's the case a bit with Calvin Phillips as well, with how well he did with England at the Euros in the summer. Maybe not the case for Patrick Bamford with his 45 minutes or 60 appearance that he made in his first England senior cap a couple of months ago. It does feel like that's the case with Rafinha a bit now, though. I think he just got told, play like you do for Leeds, out there for Brazil. And he honestly did really well. Like you say, 2 assists in 45 minutes. I think he picked up a man of the match performance in only playing a second half of football, which just shows the caliber of player he is. And I think Thiago Silva had some really positive words to speak about him as well. But another Leeds man who's done well on international duty, Daniel James, getting a goal in Wales's 2-2 draw with, I had it written down here, the Czech Republic. He scored Wales's second goal to equalise. It was a lovely finish. I don't know if you caught it.
No, I didn't. I didn't watch the Wales matches. I'm sorry. I mean, I should have done. I should have watched Wales for Dan James, but no, I honestly haven't been keeping up with his progress, so I can't really say much on Dan James for Wales, except I hope it's more positive minutes under his belt, more positive performances under his belt to build that confidence and get him back to Leeds, well, Southampton initially, hitting the ground running and just continuing that form.
I was going to say, it was with Dan James. I didn't the Wales game either. I didn't have it on and was fixated on it. But I walked into to a pub and they literally, I think as I walked in, I saw Dan James going through and he slotted it home. It was almost like something out of fate. It was absolutely fantastic. So a fantastic finish from him, slotting it into the bottom left-hand corner. So well done to Dan James. Well done to Rafinha, but just make sure you don't leave in the summer, please. Thank you. So on to some other little bits of news before we preview the Southampton game. We're actually on borrowed time. We're meant to be off at 5:30. So we'll run through this. Arsenal have taken in Leeds' capacity fans for the game in a couple of weeks' time in the Carabao Cup for persistent standing in the last time these two sides met. Now, Kieran, I'm not a rocket scientist. I'm not the most knowledgeable man. But I feel like the fans still might stand this time. I don't know about you.
Yeah, you're not going to get Leeds fans to sit down at an away game. It's what it's all about, really. And it's hard to produce the same level of atmosphere and stuff when you're sat down. And it's just the way Leeds fans have always been. We were always that way in the Championship, where maybe it was less pleased. Now we're in the Premier League. I don't see us stopping, even though it might be, the stewards might be more persistent at Premier League clubs. So yeah, I mean, I think Arsenal are probably probably not going to get the result that they wanted to be. The people behind the scenes at Arsenal in encouraging Leeds fans to sit down by reducing this capacity. I think however many are in there, they'll be standing for the full match anyway.
I was going to say, is it a case of if every time we play at the Emirates, we keep standing? Is it a case that they just reduce the capacity even more to when we just have like 0 fans in the stadium that just can't turn up into this away end because of persistent standing? Like, I don't know to what sort of extent they will really go to this.
Yeah, that'd be funny, wouldn't it? Maybe like the halved it each time. So, what is it, 4,000 in now? It's been reduced to.
Yeah.
It went down to a couple of thousand to 1,500. just kept getting smaller and smaller, the away ends at the Emirates, until there's one bloke there probably still out singing the home crowd anyway.
Yeah, I can't imagine the ticket problems the website would have if they were only allocating about 10 tickets in the away end at the Emirates. It's already enough confusion and commotion when there's like 5,000, 6,000 tickets in the Premier League. There's already a lot of commotion and anger on Twitter. Can you imagine if it was only 10 fans that were allowed in the ground? I don't even want to think about what social media and the ticketing website would be like with that. A couple of other things I've seen on social media, and we're really digging for news this week because nothing has happened in the world of Leeds United too much. There's been a Leeds store that has opened in Belfast, which had a lot of people queuing outside it. So great to see the club expanding itself. And Marcelo Bielsa was actually spotted in Blackpool by someone yesterday. I'm pretty sure it was put through as well that Luke Ayling was in a restaurant, I presume in Leeds, but I'm not too sure, was out. And I think he saw a Leeds fan propose to his girlfriend and she said yes. And apparently on Twitter, he covered the bill for that meal. And Jack Harrison and Junior Firpo were out for a meal in London. So I pose to you, Kieran, if you've been lucky enough, where's your weirdest sort of meeting footballer experience that you've ever had, or meeting a celebrity, anything like that? I've kind of thrown
it's hard
I've thrown you on the spot.
I don't really have many experiences meeting footballers. The only one I can think of, and it's not really that weird because it was actually a planned thing, something that was advertised, was Leeds United sent a few players to Sainsbury's in the White Rose a good few years back. Now it'll have been maybe first season back in the Championship or something. I think like Richard Naylor was there, and trying to think who else, maybe Lee Bromby. So they sent a few fans to Sainsbury's in the White Rose to promote healthy eating, so for making like some healthy foods and stuff. So, but rather than promoting healthy eating, I was just there to kind of meet a Leeds United player. So yeah, I went to go get a picture of Richard Naylor a picture with Richard Naylor at Sainsbury's in the White Rose.
And obviously, while promoting healthy eating at the time, of course. I mean, it's not the weirdest place to meet Richard Naylor, to be fair. But putting him in Sainsbury's, nice shopping centre, nice shop, fair play. It's a nice little meet-up. It was actually weird, coincidentally. When was it? I think it was the West Ham game 2-3 weeks ago that I went to. Got out of Leeds train station. I'm walking down towards Ellen Road, and I see two people like running in my direction. And I was thinking, I really recognise. At first, I thought like Lewis Cook. I was like, I swear I recognise these two players, or like people who I thought were just normal people. And then they're running towards me. It was Lewis Bate, Sean McGurk, I think, is one of the other under 23s players, and they were literally running towards me, and they saw my Leeds scarf on, so I said hello, they said hello back, but they were sprinting down the high street. I have no idea where they were going, maybe towards like the team hotel, but I was sort of stunned, sort of taken aback a bit. So that's, just put that one in there for anyone who is really interested in my encounters with Leeds United players. But on to our next game, because we are on limited time, which is against Southampton away from home. Kieran, the break, can't say we got into this game with a bit of form. We finally won a game against Watford. So that's the only bit of confidence we've really got going into this. It looks like Rafinha is going to be unavailable. We don't know if Calvin and Bamford will definitely be back for this game. How do you see this one going?
I think this is one that I think is a little bit of a must-win. Just because, I know it's away and I know it's hard to say, but it's a must-win game when you're travelling somewhere, especially travelling to Southampton, the other end of the country. But still, they haven't started the season very well at all. I feel like they're lacking firepower this season. That's easy to say since I lost Danny Ings. It's not much of extensive analysis. It's clear for everyone to see. I looked it up, actually. The top scorer this season so far is Mohamed El Yunusi, but 3 of those were against Newport County in the League Cup. Only one is a Premier League goal. I think maybe James Ward-Prowse with 2 Premier League goals is the top league goal scorer. So they are really lacking that firepower. We know Shea Adams is a good striker and quite a creative striker sometimes played a little bit behind Danny Ings, and maybe they were looking for him to be a bit more of the focal point this season after losing Ings, but it hasn't worked out that way at all. He hasn't really got going yet. So I feel like coming up against a team that is really lacking that firepower, it's just go out, attack like we always do and score goals. And, we shouldn't be too susceptible to some going in at the other end. Even with our defensive record, we should be fairly confident we can keep them out.
Well, this is the thing. You mentioned James Ward-Prowse. He was obviously one of I think, like you say, has about 2 goals this season. But he got sent off in their game against Chelsea. So I presume I haven't seen anything of that being overturned. So I presume he's unavailable for this game coming up on Saturday, which is obviously, goes without saying, a massive loss because he's one of their best players, probably alongside Danny Ings in terms of last season. And they obviously lost Vestergaard in the summer as well. They're a weird team this season yet, which can't imagine doing that, us with our one win on the board so far this season. But they've drawn 4 games, and the draws they've had, they've drawn away at Man City 0-0. They drew at home to Manchester United 1-0, drew drew at home to West Ham United 0-0, I think, and drew away to Newcastle 1-0. So they've actually picked up some pretty decent results in isolation. Is there a chance this could be a potential banana skin here?
Yeah, obviously it's not an absolute gimme of a game, but I still feel like looking at a lot of those games that you've gone over, sort of Manchester United, was it Manchester City as well, actually?
Yeah.
I know they're much more professional than to only raise the game for the top teams, but it is a bit like West Ham as well started the season really well, one of the best teams in the division at the moment if you look at the league table. So it does feel a bit like they're taking points from the games that you're not expecting them to take points from, but that they're not taking any points in those matches where you think, you know what, they could get something from this. And looking at where we are in the league table, we are probably one of those teams where Southampton fans go into it thinking we could get something from this. So, you know, hopefully that's a good omen for us and we get nothing from it.
I think this is the first time, actually, like you say, they go up against us thinking they can get something from us. But I think this is the first time we've gone into a game this season, apart from maybe the first day of the season on alphabetical order, that we're actually playing someone because they're like one space below us. So obviously that brings a bit of a statistical advantage into this game. The obvious joke when you talk about Southampton is the fact that they always seem to lose not by 9 goals to 0 at least once a season for the past 2 seasons. Are we going to be that team, Kieran? Can we be that team that beats them by 9 goals to 0?
Sadly, we're just not clinical enough. We can have the chances. We can probably get an XG of 9, but no, we won't score 9 goals.
Yeah, we'll beat them by 9 goals to 0. 100%. But in terms, but yeah, maybe not on the actual scoreline. I can't actually put the comment on the screen because of technical difficulties, but I've seen a comment has come in from Colin Warrington who said, there we are. We will win 2-0 with Rafa and Calvin, MOT. So thoughts on that, Kieran? 2-0 win. Obviously, you take that. Can you see us keeping that clean sheet?
Yeah, against Southampton, I could see us keeping that clean sheet. We managed to clean sheet against Watford. Like I say, I feel like Southampton lack firepower. So, yeah, I feel like a clean sheet is on the cards. Obviously, it may not work out that way with Leeds United. You know, things can go wrong when you support this club. But I like that prediction because I'd love to see a Calvin goal. It is always nice when Calvin gets himself on the score sheet.
Yeah, he's actually scored some relatively, I say, important goals, but he scored obviously in that centenary game against Birmingham, which was the main goal that people sort of remember him for at the moment. Obviously, got a goal in the first game with fans back against West Brom at the back end of last season. Like you say, it's always nice. It's always nice when he gets himself on the score sheet. We spoke about it, it would have been about a week and a half ago, about this next run of games. Of having Southampton, then Wolves, then Norwich. You described this as a must win, but would you take a point?
Yeah, okay. I would maybe take a point, but as long as it
easily convinced.
As long as we followed it up with a few more points, as long as we followed it up with 3 against Norwich or whatever, then yeah, I'd take a point from this away at Southampton.
Well, as you can see there, Colin Warrington did say Bielsa is a god. Believe. I suppose you've always got to believe when you got Marcelo Bielsa. If we don't have Rafinha, then it looks like probably Dan James on the wing, Harrison as well. I want to get your opinions on, because I absolutely love it. Like we mentioned earlier, Jack Harrison and Junior Firpo went out for a meal together. I think it was in London. That sort of just trying to get that chemistry on that left-hand side. I don't know about you, but I'm a massive fan of it.
Yeah, I am. I'm a big fan of that. I think I think Jack Harrison's girlfriend is a Spanish speaker, so I think Jack Harrison's been learning a lot of Spanish himself. He probably speaks quite good Spanish at this point, especially in our dressing room as well. A lot of Spanish speakers in his dressing room, so that probably helps him. So maybe they've managed to hit it off quite well. It doesn't seem like much of an immediate friendship to strike up. Junior Firpo and Jack Harrison, they come from very different backgrounds, obviously. Firpo's Spanish. Harrison is an Englishman who lived a lot of his life in the USA. But, like I say, they both probably speak good Spanish. They've both probably got good chemistry. And yeah, hopefully it translates on the pitch as well.
Well, like you say there, if Jack Harrison's partner, obviously Spanish, but Jack Harrison, whenever he speaks in some videos that get posted on Leeds' Twitter, sounds French. I can't put it past me. Some of the way he says like Leeds United, like in like a weirdly kind of posh northern, but it just makes it sound French. Like it's got a bit of French in him. I'm not too sure. We've got another comment from Colin Warrington. I can't tell if Max is actually still here controlling the comments or not. I'm really not too sure. But he said, keeping the faith, all Leeds, aren't we? And are we going to be keeping the faith? Kieran, score prediction, please, for the game against Southampton.
I'll give us a 2-0 win as well. I agree with Colin. I think that's a fairly reasonable scoreline for this match. Keep that clean sheet and get 2 goals. I'm not going to predict a goal scorers though, because I'm not getting that specific.
I think I'm going to go for a. Sorry, you lagged out a little bit there at the end. So I think you said you're not going to predict the goal scorers. I'm going to go 3-1. I'm going to go with some goals. 1-0 win last time. 3-1 win this time. Not the 9-0. So Southampton fans, don't worry. It's not going to be all too bad. But thank you very much for Kieran for joining us. Max, if he is still there in spirit in the Premier Inn, thank you very much for controlling the social media aspect of the podcast. And we will be back at the week against Southampton and looking ahead to the game against Wolverhampton Wanderers. Take care, have a good evening, and we will see you next time.